All right. 20-some years ago, I was teaching at Rouge High School, tiny district borders southwest Detroit. End of a school day, a few students approach me and say, Mr. Haka, we're trying to start a new student group, and we need a teacher to be our sponsor. I said, all right, what's the student group? They said, it's a GSA. What's a GSA? It's a Gay Straight Alliance. You know, it's before LGBT plus became the go-to term, you know, the days of don't ask, don't tell, way before marriage equality. And I said, okay, I'll do it, but let me ask Ms. Harper if she will be a co-sponsor, because the group of students was racially mixed, reflective of the community and the school, and I figured if the sponsors were racially reflective of the school as well, it'd be a good thing. And then Ms. Bowling got involved, and Ms. Harper and Ms. Bowling are both from River Rouge, and all three of us are on the executive board of the teachers union, and we figured collectively that could give the students more protection from the inevitable fierce backlash that was coming. All right, and the kids were off and running. They talked to Mr. Smith, the principal, Mr. Einierfach, superintendent, both of whom are supportive, but then after a very long, very loud, very emotional board meeting, the school board reluctantly votes to recognize the GSA. Parenthetically, at the end of the year, the board made sure to get rid of Mr. Einierfach, get rid of Mr. Smith as administrators, even though they were both very good. You know, it's the price you pay for integrity. But the kids got their group. They're putting up flyers all around the building for the first GSA meeting, many of which had threats written on them or vulgarity. And one day I'm eating lunch in my classroom, and a whole bunch of students come to my classroom door and ask to speak to me. I said, sure, come on in. They all sit down, and they all look at one student like he's their spokesperson. And he says to me very seriously, very solemnly, Mr. Haka, we'd like to know, is it true that you are starting a group to teach kids how to be gay? I mean, how do you even write that lesson plan? But they were sincere, so I gave them a sincere answer, invited them to come to the first meeting. First meeting happens, there are so many kids outside my classroom door. Well, not right outside. Down the hall a little bit, in a crowd, all craning their necks to see who, if anyone's going to walk into the gay meeting. We end up with about 8 students, including a young man I'll call Devin. I'd met Devin about a week before, and he told me, Mr. Hake, I want to come to the GSA meeting. But he said, I know it's a sin to be gay. And he read to me highlighted verses from his Bible and said he'd been praying on the matter with another teacher. I said, well, Devin, I can't, nor should I tell you what to do. You have to live with your decisions. And there he was, looking very comfortable with his decision. Meeting's about to start when the classroom phone rings. It's Mr. Smith, the principal. He's at the front desk, at the front door, saying, Mr. Hake, this minister so-and-so's here with a dozen adults demanding to get into the GSA meeting. And Smith says, I told him, no, it's a student meeting. Anything you have to say should have been said at the board meeting. So I said, hang on. I tell the students what's going on. They unanimously agree that we should invite the adults up, so they don't think something bad is going on. So they come up. Ms. Smith says he'll walk them up and stay for the meeting. Ms. Harper goes in the hall. She knows the minister. She's schmoozing with him. The kids are all at the door shaking hands, welcoming them. They all sit down. The student organizer, she says she is running the meeting. Everybody needs to wait till she recognizes them before they speak. She starts calling on students, calling on adults. Adults had questions like, I know your mother. Does she know you're here? Aren't you too young to know if you're gay? One man just turned and yelled at me, you're doing the work of Satan. After a half hour of this, finally the minister stands up and says, clearly there's nothing we can do. The students have the support of the school, and they all left, just like that. It was such a sigh of relief. I was so proud of the students. Even the adults there had commented on their maturity. But next morning, I'm walking into school. Before I even get to my classroom, some students come running up to me, and they tell me, Devin, the young man I told you about, was jumped on the way home. 3 young men, part of a group of students who consider themselves a gang, used to do the graffiti tagging in the bathrooms and stairwells, jumped him because he's now an out gay man. And as these students were telling me about it, they're laughing. They think it's funny. They say, Mr. Haka, you should have seen it. It was hilarious. Devin kicked all 3 of their butts. He sent all 3 of them running home to their moms. It was hilarious. And the GSA never really took off because the students who were organizing were graduating seniors, but that short-lived effort had a couple really positive effects. It made the school a lot more accepting, and for those who couldn't bring themselves to be accepting, at least tolerant. And secondly, our gang graffiti tagging problem, thanks to Devin's fist, simply went away.